In this video, we want to compare the different thrusts with the pike. These range from really simple to more difficult to extremely unusual techniques. Particularly in terms of target accuracy, there are significant differences. Therefore, some thrusting techniques require a lot of practice. But is it worth the effort? Why make it difficult if it can be simpler and more precise? To answer this question, let's take a closer look at all the thrusts to draw a conclusion at the end of the video. The book on the art of fencing by Joachim Meyer, a fencing master of the late 16th century, forms the basis of the techniques shown here. Let's start with basic thrusts from the following guards: upper guard, middle guard or field guard, and lower guard. Middle and field guard are very similar. The difference is that in the field guard the pike is held more towards its center to get a better lever. Therefore, the field guard is a good defensive posture because a stronger grip enables us to parry enemy attacks in a better way than in the middle guard. However, in contemporary images one also often sees this posture for the attack. And that makes perfect sense because the tip control is actually very good here. As a disadvantage, however, it should be noted that the distance to the opponent is smaller than if you grip the pike as its rear end, so the attack from the field guard is a little more dangerous. The thrust from the upper guard has a slightly better reach than from the field guard. Here you grab the pike at the rear end and let the rear point stand far behind the body. This ensures the greatest possible forward movement. However, pikes are very long and although some are relatively light, it is difficult to keep the tip directed correctly. Therefore, a slight swing up of the pike is necessary. This also takes a little more time and the thrusts are not as fast as from the field guard. Such a guard is rather unsuitable for the front row because it would block the view as well as a space for the pikeman in the following rows. After a step from the upper guard, it is difficult to return to the same position without lowering the pike first. Therefore, the lower guard is a very natural posture and is often used alternately with the upper guard between thrusts. However, it is also suitable for the use in the front row if an attack is expected. From here, you get very quickly into the dampening guard to defend against other pikes or into a posture with the pike in front of your back foot to defend against horsemen. Now we come to three variants of one-handed thrusts. These are done either free or out of a parry movement. To perform the simplest of all one-handed thrusts, we still need an initial movement. The pike is just too long and heavy to get the point to the target without swinging up. For this, we throw the pike forward and then bring the rear end with a jerk backwards to our left shoulder. This brings the tip upwards. As the pike falls down again, we try to get the right moment to bring the tip to the opening. Timing, distance management and rhythm play an important role here. This is not the easiest way to attack, but we may have dropped the pike with the front hand or had to retreat quickly. The reasons can be manifold and do not necessarily have to be intentional. The next technique could also be called one-handed reverse thrust. Not only does that sound rather cumbersome, it is, but for a good reason. Already in the technique before, we saw a one-handed thrust. From the same starting position, we can now, if necessary, parry by swinging the pike to our other side. It is important to grab the bar at the very end so that we can easily change the grip when we change the side. From this position, we can try to perform a thrust. Targeting accuracy is demanding, but still better than a retreat. And if there is more than a single opponent in front of us, it is all the easier to hit something. With the previous technique, a thrust was parried to then thrust back. Now a second thrust is also parried. As before, in the end we thrust back with one hand. You can do this thrust with different steps. Either way, the technique is a bit simpler than the reversed variant. So with the second defense movement you can not only parry but also gets you into a simpler attack position. However, you have to take into account the time needed for the extra movement. Of course, all this can be combined, be it a double thrust with one hand or one-handed parry and two-handed thrust from the field guard. The combinations are manifold. So, let us return to the initial question. Why hard when it can be easy? Well, I think the answer lies in what it means to perform a full martial art. It is one thing to stand in a pike block, follow some orders and thrust straight ahead. To be prepared for exceptional situations and react appropriately to them is a completely different thing. Because what distinguishes a regular soldier from a double-paid elite warrior? That's right, the martial arts training. The art of fencing sets us apart from the ordinary weapon bearer. While only rudimentarily trained fencers handle just a few basic strikes and thrusts, a well-trained fighter can also be used techniques appropriate to the situation. Disarmament, lethal or non-lethal techniques, wrestling, arm locks and much more, all these enables a fighter to perform his art more efficiently and appropriately. As far as our different thrusts in the pike are concerned, it is perfectly sufficient to use just a few basic techniques in 90% of all cases. But if we had the choice, we would put the best fencers in the first row. This decision can significantly influence the outcome of a battle, because he who masters techniques that are somewhat out of the box knows his weapon and how to deal with it much better than someone who uses his weapon very rudimentary and maybe runs out of ideas or solutions in vital moments. In short, it can't be bad to be able to do a little more than you seem to need.